Hi everyone, thanks for coming along to the Commissioner Conversations for Public Service Broadcasters at CMC. Before we start, I wanted to say a huge thank you to our sponsors of this session, Tiger Aspect Kids and Family. The CMC depends massively on sponsors, so we're extremely grateful to Tiger Aspect Kids and Family for supporting this session. So, cheers for coming along to the session. In this one, we're going to hear from a host of public service broadcasters. Obviously, it's been very tricky out there for people to work out how to get shows made. These people still have some budget, so we'll be keen to hear what they are going to have to say. So the way it's going to work is going to chat to each guest each panelist for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to bring them all back on to ask some more questions and open up to the audience as well. So if you do have any questions, save it to the end. So we can begin. And our first guest is Sinead Geraint from S4C. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. So I'm not sure whether everybody out there is familiar with S4C or what we are. We're a Welsh language broadcaster based in Wales. We transmit only to the medium of Welsh. And I'm the Kids and Learners Commissioner. And we transmit 40 hours a week of kids' content in Welsh. The channel's been going for 40 years now, but it's surprising how many people aren't aware of us, because if you're not in that Welsh world, then you wouldn't be. So that's what we do. I look after the preschool brand, which is called Q, which translated is Chick. We've got a kids brand, Stunch, and I also commission drama for the 13 to 15-year-old age bracket. And that's something, and I'm also responsible for the acquisitions of animations and stuff.
Just a few things.
Just a few things. So I'm quite busy, yeah. So I do apologise if anybody's emailed me and not had an answer straight away. That's why. So just for you to get a flavour of what we do, I've got a short clip here just for you to see a bit about what the kids' S4C brand is.
Cydda yn helpu yn nachlaeth.
Da ni'n mynd I forio.
Helo, to Lily yna. O'n ni fod gweld.
Old news. Helo a chroeso I newyddion ni.
Swn I dweud bod ni yn mwy na lai addicted i'n ffordd.
Gwela chi! Man da ni ne!
Wel, sigl disgerbwd.
Mae Annie Bendog.
Snap, snap.
Hwyl ffrindiau.
Lovely stuff. So there's obviously a big range of projects there.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be good to give everyone in the room a bit of an understanding of what makes kind of S4C different. You touched on the kind of the language stuff. How much, when you commission, how much does that play a part?
Right, so S4C is funded by central government in the same way that BBC are. We're funded through the licence payers fee, but our remit as a broadcaster from central government and DCMS is to support the Welsh language and the culture of Wales in all its form. But Welsh Government also have set a target of 1 million new Welsh speakers by 2050. And we feed into that and we play a huge part of that. So that means that all of our content needs to be in Welsh, but it's put a real emphasis on the children's content because that's where our learners are. The number of fluent Welsh speakers like me are becoming less and less. We're more dependent on Welsh learners. And the kids' content is where they start. Their parents are learning, their carers are learning, they're learning. And so as well as entertaining and, making content that they want to watch, we also have to be mindful that they're also trying to get to grips with a new language.
Yeah. So how do you go about kind of commissioning those shows then? Because you don't have a huge budget.
No, I don't. I have a 7 million budget to cover all of my kids' content in a year.
Yeah.
And that's 2,444 hours a year. So it doesn't go very far. For any of you who do, budgets and production managing and whatever, you'll realise what kind of budgets, programme budgets and content budgets I'm working with.
Yeah.
But we're very lean. We're used to be working very lean. All the companies who work in Wales are used to that kind of budget.
Yeah.
And so they don't think bigger. They can think a little bit smaller, but so it's quite normal for us to make content with that. But it's just the commissioning process is like anybody else. People send me ideas. I have one pitching round a year. That'll happen now, not pitching round, one commissioning round. That happens in the summer. People have been discussing ideas with me since last September. And then by now, I've got budgets, I've got ideas, I know the mix, I know where I am with the acquisitions I've made. And so during the summer now, we'll commission and everybody will be producing and stuff to transmit next year.
Yeah.
And those conversations will start again in September with people.
Okay. So does that mean that it's more common for people to do co-production stuff to get a show funded, or do you fund... Because with 7 million, you can't fund that many shows entirely.
We don't fund all the hours. We're dependent on repeats. We license everything. We don't own any IPs anymore. We license everything. And we license for between 3 and 7 years, depending on what it is. So we are dependent on repeats.
Yeah.
It's probably about 60-40% live action animation. Our animation is great because they're long series, they're 52 times whatever. They fill the schedule. But we put a lot of emphasis on the live action because that gives people the chance, it grows skills. It gives kids the chance to be on screen. With the dramas we do, it grows skills there. We've got young actors and stuff being involved. So that's really important for us with regards to the language, because, of course, it's a bigger pool of people.
So if someone's got an existing show, they might think it might be a good fit for S4C. How does the languages work then if it's not an original kind of...
That's okay. What people need to think about is whether it'll adapt into Welsh. So we've just done a series that was done by Gigi Carr called Anfa. It's called in Welsh Taclo'r Tywydd. We brought the set over from Ireland. We've done a completely Welsh version of the show in Cardiff. But it's been brilliant because what we've done is we've bought their format and we've reproduced it. But we've shared the asset because we've shared the set. And we do that with a lot of people. We did World According to Grandpa. We all shared the animation assets, and every different company, every different broadcaster did their own live action version in their own language. So that's the kind of model that works for us. We're really open to talking co-pros with people. Yeah. The only thing I would say is that if anybody wanted to pitch to me, they would either need a Welsh speaker on board with the pitch or be willing for me to hook them up with somebody or with a company in Wales. Yeah. So that we could be sharing skills, but that we're making sure that, because we have to support our producers and creatives in Wales as part of the remit that we have for the finance that we have. So we just can't be commissioning and making stuff everywhere else. Yeah. We have to involve everybody in Wales as well.
So on that note then, how do people kind of approach you outside of jumping on you in the floor? Don't jump on her in the floor. Outside of that, how do people approach you?
Do you know what? The best way is an email. Yeah. And I do go through them. But I lock myself up in my caravan and I just go through them. But it's an email with a paragraph. But what I always say to people is, when I was studying Welsh, my mum used to say to me when I wrote an essay, she said, if you can't sell your story in that first paragraph, don't bother. Yeah. And that's the truth of it. I don't want anybody sending me an idea. Would you like a series about a pink cake? Well, what is the series? What is the pink cake? I need to know what it is.
Do you have a favourite pitch you've ever seen?
Do you know what? I was gobsmacked. We try and do drama on our very small budget, and somebody pitched an idea for me called The Corridor, and it's 10 8-minute dramas, a series. And I was really sceptical when somebody said to me. Anyway, they sent me the pitch and they sent me a couple of scripts, and that was it. I was absolutely hooked.
So on the quality of the script?
Just on the quality of the scripts. It was mind-blowing. They're so short, but they're so packed full of information. So we tested them out on some youngsters. We took some scripts and they were glued. We put one, we were lucky, it was for 11 to a 13-year-old age. So we were safe in putting one up on TikTok to see whether that worked. Drama's growing on TikTok, isn't it? Short dramas. Yeah. So that worked. It really grabbed the audience. And we had so much attention from teachers, from learners, from kids of all ages, from all kinds of people. Yeah. It wasn't a large budget at all. We're talking something like 300,000 for the whole drama. So, and the company that made it were really creative with that. They used students, they used school kids, they used all kinds of people to make it work. And it's the most exciting thing I've seen for a long time. So they've just finished series 2 now. So, and yeah, that's the one for me.
So there's kind of almost creative constraints there when it comes to budget. I guess that gives opportunity to people who might have that.
Absolutely. You know, people say, I'm finding it quite positive, really, because people have to think creatively in a different way.
Yeah.
They have to think of their ideas and think, for us, okay, how can I do that for less money? I've been to a YouTube session today, and youngsters watching YouTube, they don't care about what it looks like. They're very forgiving about stuff. What they want is an idea that grips them. Yeah. And that drama is an example of that, because it was shot in one location, in 1 week. All eps were shot in 5 days. It was just done, and it's cleverly edited. But it gives people who are far younger than me a chance to be really creative, because, you know, I come from a background where it was all singing, all dancing, you know, shiny floor stuff, which cost an arm and a leg. And younger people, younger than me, are used to doing content. Yeah. On a cheaper budget. I know time.
Lastly, before you come back on later, what would you say you're looking for at the moment? What are you on for anyone who's got an idea here? What do you think is there?
Do you know what? I'm not specifically looking for anything specific. What I tell everybody always who aren't familiar with S4C is to look at what we've got.
Right.
I don't have the finance to commission more than one thing of the same type. Yeah. So if you're familiar with Q and Stunch and the content that we have on our Q YouTube channel and the other platforms, you'll know what we're about. And that means that you maybe have an idea that think, oh, they haven't got that. You know, I haven't seen that there. Then they're the ideas I want to be talking about.
Do your research. Yeah.
Do your research. Okay. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks, Sinead. Well, you'll come back in a bit.
I will. I'm going to fall off those stairs now.
Good luck. Yeah. And next, I'd like to welcome up Emma O'Mahony from RTE. Hello.
Hi, Tom.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Emma O'Mahony, and I'm very relieved I didn't fall up the stairs, so we're winning already. I'm executive producer in Young People's in RTE in Ireland, the public service broadcaster. So we're a small but perfectly formed team. I commission alongside Nia Farron, who's here today, and Suzanne Kelly. So we have RTE Junior, our digital channel, which goes from 7 in the morning till 7 in the evening. We also have shows on RTE 2. We have a block throughout the day. We have 2 YouTube channels, RTE Kids and RTE Junior, and we also have RTE Junior Radio as well. So there's a lot there. Nikki Coughlin looks after that, so email him at some stage. But so we've a lot going on. But look, just to give you a bit of a taster, here's a video to have a look at.
You know you can be anything, right? So go for it! Learn this, feed him, conquer that!
Push, kids, let's move on.
Done. What's next? Be an artist? A crazy one.
Break the rules.
Yeah! You could totally be a dancer, or an explorer, or a ghost hunter.
Our cooker's real.
What?
It's from the video I found. What is he talking about?
What's that move called?
I'm so excited. I'm about to.
Right, where to next? Want to see Clock meet a superhero?
You don't have to be a scientist or an engineer to come up with a good idea.
So true. Reach for the sky. Where's this? The future?
You know, the aliens and all that.
I know. You could write stories. Ooh. What is this? A talking cheese?
Weird thing to say, but okay.
RTE Kids, what's next?
Wonderful stuff. So to set the context for RTE, is that similar to S4C in terms of your remit?
Well, so we're an English language broadcaster,
Right.
but what we do have is we have to, on RC Junior, we have a target of 730 hours a year of Irish language content to provide. Now, in RC2 on the block there's 120 hours. So we commission an awful lot of animation. So if you're thinking about a lot of series that are like 2 minutes, 5 minutes in duration, that's an awful lot of hours to fill. So I suppose, kind of a takeaway, I think, for people today would be, if you're thinking about pitching an animation series to us, have a think about whether, you can pitch an Irish language version of it as well. Can you apply for ILBF funding or whatever? But it's just really something that, in terms of funding, in terms of unlocking Commission the Man in Ireland funding there, having an Irish language version of an animation is really going to be helpful, and it helps us. So
it helps across the line.
It helps.
Critical.
It's not critical at all, because sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like sometimes an Irish language version of a show is just not feasible. So, it's one of those things whereby it's helpful, but it's not critical by any means.
Yeah. And then, so in terms of the productions you do a lot of co-productions.
Yeah.
Because I thought we wanted to talk about Maddie and Triggs.
Yeah.
Because that's been a lovely kind of co-production, kind of Anglo-Irish kind of collaboration. Do you want to, how did that start?
Well, so Colm and Aidan from Turp and Duck originally pitched the idea of a podcast to myself. I think it was actually 2019, a good while ago now. So Nicky Coughlin in RC Junior Radio, he commissioned the podcast series, and then the guys just came to us and said, look, we think this could be a really good animation. So they brought it to Cartoon Forum, and it was picked up by our wonderful colleagues in the BBC. So, it's 52 by 7. It's a gorgeous animation about a young girl who's visually impaired. Now, so, we couldn't finance that on our own. So Maddie and Triggs, they were able to unlock Section 481 Commission the Man in Ireland, and they were also able to unlock UK funding. So, and it's funny because Maddie and Triggs, in terms of scripting and voices, voice talent, it's a very Irish a kind of an animation in one sense, but it's been fantastic working with Nick Hall. I think he's here. We've just all got on really well, and I think just editorially we were never compromised. Yeah. It retained its uniquely Irish elements of it. So it just goes to show you that when you find a really good partner, it can really, really work. We wouldn't have been able to make that on our own. We wouldn't have been.
Do you do any shows on your own, or is it always kind of co-production?
We'll get funding, say, from Commission the Man. It's not always co-production, so, we could be the only broadcaster, but most of animations, they would need to unlock Commission the Man, Section 481, and Screen Ireland as well.
Yeah.
But, for example, Doodle Girl, that was purely with RTE.
So there'd have to be a component that is made in Ireland.
There does. Well, if you want to get to unlock funding, because
sure.
say Section 481 would apply to the work split that's done in Ireland. So look, it all depends. We do shorter form, and to be honest, there's no hard and fast rules that the company has to be based in Ireland. We look at everything separately, so it is possible for it all depends on the project, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that the nice thing about Maddie and Triggs is it started from a podcast, which is a nice kind of way of getting in. And what other ways that you can see people getting in to get a show made if they don't have the track record and experience? What have you seen? I think you've got your shorts program.
Yes. So we have, the past 6 years, we have an animated short scheme called Sparks, which is basically a different theme every year, be it Halloween or Christmas. Or we had animated shorts based on mental well-being and all the rest. And this year, our theme was School's Out. So we have a very large amount of submissions. So this year, as I said, it was School's Out. So in one sense, you have companies applying that may not have the ability to create a 52 by 7 minute, but a 2-minuter is well within their realms, from production point of view and budget. So, if you're doing it, you're getting your pitch across. You're getting pitched to commissioners in RTE. You're getting to see how the whole commissioning system works, because I don't know if anyone's ever worked. It's a bit of like anything. It's a big rigmarole with contracts and business affairs. So it's a really good opportunity to see that. But also, you're getting a 2-minute proof of concept.
Yeah.
That you can bring to other broadcasters and go, this is a 2-minuter I have done. You can see it all stacks up. So, and it's just really good. Like what we're seeing as well is we might have larger companies giving more junior members of their team an opportunity to direct a 2-minute, which is fantastic. And also, as I said, companies that we may not necessarily get to deal with on larger scale series coming to us.
So it sounds like you get a lot of submissions. What would you say makes that submission stand out?
Well, what I found saying the last round was you might get a really good pitch and might look great, but then there's not much of a story. And I know 2 minutes can be really long or really short, or one or the other. But say one of the ones that stood out was Droid Academy from Pioneer Town, Jonathan Loughran and Will Sliney. And even when they were pitching it to me, kind of in my head, I was going, okay, this is going to be the ones I'm going to select, because just the character designs were amazing. It was a really good story. And like the passion coming from the two guys, I was like, this is brilliant. And it's funny, it was on a Zoom call. So, whether you need to meet people in real life, IRL, or not, it doesn't matter, because like...
It's the strength of the idea.
Yeah, and your passion will come across no matter where it is. So that was just one pitch that was just like, okay, this is a really good one, if it well thought out.
And do you think, obviously, we're in, very changing times at the moment. Is there anything different about, pitching in 2025 that you might not have said last year, or is it kind of the same as?
I know, I suppose, what they were maybe going to touch on later, but I suppose AI and I suppose maybe being clearer, like we don't see it as much in animation, because a lot of time you're going to get character designs from the artists and animators, but in terms of live action, we're getting a lot of treatments and Bibles that are AI generated, and they very clearly are. And I suppose, in terms of finance, whatever, and shoots and setups, okay, you might need to do it from a financial point of view, but we're all about transparency. You have to tell us, like, most of the time you can probably guess, but I don't want to be kind of saying to the person, I presume this is AI,
But if you're not sure, then it might put you off.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, just be transparent, but that's obviously the big thing now we're getting with pitch decks.
Yeah, okay. And what would you say you're looking for at the moment?
Well, look, we're always looking for that, something special. But, I suppose we're looking for more drama. We love drama at the moment. We're really into that. More preschool, but like what Sinead was saying, I would say if you're pitching to us, have a look at the RT Player, have a look at our YouTube channels, so that, is there something, do you have an idea that's not there already? Yeah. But like, do your homework. Don't pitch something to us that we already have, because, that's not great.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And what's the, because it sounds like there's a lot of stuff you do, and what's the balance of kind of animation, live action, scripted, unscripted? That sounds like it's quite hard.
God, do you know what? I'd say it's probably nearly like 60-40 animation. We do an awful lot, and that's not, nobody quote me on that, but it's around that. We do an awful lot of animation. But I suppose, we're very lucky in Ireland. We have such a talented and thriving animation sector. We are really, really gifted. So it's just, we have so many amazing pitches coming to us all the time, and so many talented people. So we're in a very lucky position.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. What?
I'm gone.
Thank you, Oma. And I think we're going to have the BBC contingent on now. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'd like to welcome Keris Griffiths, Kate Morton, and Sarah Muller to the stage.
BBC Children's and Education. One mission, 4 brands.
This part of the plant's that we call the cell wall. It gives structure and protection overall. Inside the middle, we can see the vacuole wall and chloroplast, which contain all the chlorophyll.
That's my stepbrother Kevin. He's 11. And when he saw that I needed help with my maths homework, he showed me BBC Bite Size. It's got everything you need to know. There are all sorts of videos that make things easier to understand. Then, when you've got the hang of it, there are loads of quizzes to help you practice.
A lot of people learn from an early age. Disabled people can't do sport, or they can't do this, or they can't do that.
Educating teachers, school kids to make sure no one's left out is so, so important.
Hey, I'm Billy.
I'm James. I'm Lewis.
Ow!
That's it! Mummy, what's up?
You said lots of non-verbal communication.
So, shall we go?
Look at the eye contact, how close she is.
Okay. More and more families and children are finding themselves without a permanent place to live.
You think you're going to wake up in your old house, but then you end up waking up here. Yeah, so... It's coming! It's heading towards us! Ooh. Max! 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 Oh no!
Gravity is the invisible force. Oh, what's happening? That pulls every object in the universe towards each other.
Those two bubble-like eyes are actually split in half.
And seeing in air and seeing in water are two totally different things.
Oh!
You might ask why I'm scooting into basketball tryouts in such a dope outfit.
Oh, no!
Here comes the rewind.
Welcome to Crunkton, the greatest place in the entire world. What happened? Did he get you? So, I was running like Black Panther, and then I jumped over a 10-foot fence like Spider-Man, and then I started wall running, and I turned into the Incredible Hulk, smashed into some bins, and then he was like flying at me, all see-through and that, yeah? And I was like, Jumpy, be gone! And then he disappeared. That's definitely what happened.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Should we do some introductions first? Kerry, would you like to introduce
Yeah, I'm Kerris Griffiths. I'm the head of BBC Bitesize. And for those who don't know, it's the BBC's education platform for students from 5 to 16. So we do curriculum-related content to support their studies at school. But we also do other things. We do Bitesize for Teachers, which is classroom video for teachers to use, and live lessons, which are like old school programmes that you wheel the telly in for, but now it's all online and much glossier. And we also do Bite-Sized Careers, which does what it says on the tin, Bite-Sized Study Support for teenagers, which is all about well-being and how you survive and thrive at secondary school. And we do Other Side of the Story, which is a bite-size offer for teenagers as well to help them navigate all the information they get online and disinformation.
Excellent. Thank you. Kate?
Hi, I'm Kate Morton. I'm the Senior Head of Commissioning for 0 to 6 for BBC Children's. So that is the wonderful CBeebies and also our newly launched CBeebies Parenting.
That's Kate. Sarah?
Hello, I'm Sarah Muller, and I am Senior Head of Commissioning for 7+. And we look after brands like Blue Peter and Newsround and the very wide range of content that we put out across a number of platforms like the CBBC channel and iPlayer.
Yeah, excellent. So I thought on there we had the commissioning email address. You must see a lot of pitches. What do you think makes a good pitch? Because you must be inundated. I have no idea how you get through them all, but what makes pitches float to the top, would you say?
I think, you know, as both Shoned and Emma were saying, it's also understanding the audience. I think for us, that's really what stands out a lot in particularly, there's so much content out there, there's so much need, but you have to have audience first. And understanding what grips our audience, what engages them, what excites them. Yeah. But also, what do we already have? We are very lucky. We are blessed with an amazing library of content. And luckily, we have an audience that absolutely adores watching things again and again, particularly small people. So it's getting to know what we have. And then, as everyone's saying, what's different? What's new? Yeah. What are we not doing? But it's about the story, because story is what drives us all. It's telling stories that are unique and resonate with our audience wherever they are in the UK.
Yeah. Is that the same for you?
Yes, obviously, it's a BBC ethos.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to unhelpfully say that we're always looking for something special, and you know it when you see it, but that doesn't inform anything in this room. So that could translate quite literally into what's important now, what are the conversations that we're having, that our audience are having. Children are dealing with so much. What are the ways we could reach in there? We could look at what boys are struggling with, the poverty that children are living in that keeps coming up, and how our content could support it. So that's certainly one thing that will elevate over the many thousands of applications we get at any one time.
Would you say, as we're in 2025, obviously there's the commissioner sessions each year, what would you say is different this year in terms of what you're looking for in pictures than it might have been in previous years? Is there anything special, would you say?
I feel I said this morning on a different panel, sorry everyone. I feel we're slightly more optimistic and positive this year than we've been at any time since before COVID, I think. I think that generation of quite disadvantaged children have come through not experiencing their real life, and there feels like there's a real desire now to reflect a different type of life back at kids, if that makes any sense. So I think that will reflect in the mix of the content we're being offered, and there will be more joy. I think we'd like to see more joy now.
Definitely. And Kate, you're doing the parenting initiative. Do you want to?
Yeah, it's hugely exciting. And the BBC has always, I think, led the way in terms of answering the need for parents with our standout educative content that is at the heart of CBeebies. So shows like Number Blocks, Yakadee, they're all absolutely driven by and understood and formatted by experts. But what this is doing is really building on the success of a campaign that we've done, which is called Tiny Happy People. We've done that over the last 4 years, that was really focused on speech and language development, because obviously we're aware that there is a developmental gap, particularly with speech and language development. A lot of that is to do with social and economic deprivation, also COVID. That has had a very large impact on children who are starting school and perhaps not necessarily as prepared as they would have been previously. So what CBeebies Parenting is bringing all these amazing resources together. We've been working with healthcare workers, but also universities to really make certain that this is all grounded in fact and learning. And so we've got resources for parents, not necessarily about, let's stick a child in front of a television, but it's actually physical resources. There's a lovely clip there of the Scouse baby, where you've actually got a consultant actually showing what the parent is doing, and actually the benefits of actually communicating directly with the baby, and how that direct conversation is really benefiting. So that's a great example. And CBeebies Parenting, we've also just launched a podcast. So that's CBeebies Parenting Helpline. And that's where we've got 2 celeb mums, Charlie Hedges and Holly Hagan-Blythe. And they're joined by experts, and we have parents ringing in. And dealing with any of the questions that, parents in the modern world deal with, bedtime, toddler tantrums, and their own relationships, how you navigate life, modern life. And it's about bringing everything together and being a really supportive network. So this is we've got a website, we're in social media, we're also on YouTube, and it's about, we're now starting to look at commissioning content for that audience, whether it is supportive content that explains why a certain show would be good for a parent to share and co-view with their child, but also content directly to parents is something else. So I hope this is a real opportunity for this audience to hear that we are absolutely 100% focused on our audience, whether it be 0 to 6, and really helping them, navigate through the amazing journeys that children go through before they start school, but also school readiness and
Yeah.
working with our amazing shows like we've got some clips coming up soon that are launching, working with Studio AKA with Hey Dougie.
Yeah.
And this is showing what school readiness, things that you can learn, how to put on your coat.
So it's about threading it through.
It's about threading it through and really flying the flag for what the BBC does best.
So that's feeding into your commissioning process in terms of parenting.
Yeah, it's in addition. It is
Yeah,
not,
right.
it is
So
not
is there-
instead of.
Yeah, okay. Is there any other themes then in terms of the commissioning process at the moment that you're looking at from a commissioning perspective?
Well, we are very, very busy. We've got a lot of our commissioning team here, and I know they're all very keen to spend time with you all. We've also got our speed pitching, which is going on this afternoon. But in terms of themes, we love obviously co-viewing, particularly stories that go beyond just our core audience that resonate with the wider family. We've done some really fantastic animations that really are centred in the UK, but from diverse families. Maddie and Triggs is a wonderful example of content that actually answers a need in terms of diversity. So the whole point of Maddie and Triggs is that a child who is visually impaired and a child who isn't can sit down and enjoy the content equally, because it's about really, really rich content that works for all.
Yeah.
So we are absolutely open across multiple genres and also in the fact-ent space. But it's really, it's about the ideas that stand out. Passion goes a very long way.
And speaking to the commissioners.
Yeah, and speaking to us. But you can always get hold of us with our email, which is childrensubmissions@bbc.co.uk.
Excellent. And Sarah, with CBBC, where do you say you're at with kind of what you're focusing on and themes are from a commissioning perspective? Also, I guess in terms of the mix of animation and live action and so forth.
I think we're starting to get the balance right. Historically, we absolutely hadn't. How we managed our animation, particularly for the older audience, felt very disparate from how we managed the other genres, which is not just drama, but live action, factual, current affairs, a whole range, comedy. I feel we've got the balance right, and that's through Ignite, which hopefully we'll get some time to touch on in a moment, which is our original scheme for UK animation, which has been very successful. And I think we're now looking at as much of a mixed economy as we possibly can, because I think we need to be practical as we attempt to meet children everywhere they are. Yeah. So yes, of course, we're looking for big aspirational dramas. We will probably do slightly less of those a year, and they will be co-productions. And then we will very much concentrate on the homegrown dramas that work so well for us, and that's everything from Mallory Towers through to High Hoops that you saw on The Reel, and Jamie Johnson and Dumping Ground. They're very British specific. Sometimes they travel, sometimes they don't, but it means you can really dig in to what it means to be in the UK now, and it's very reflective of where we are now. And then also some younger live actions specifically, which will just meet up with Kate's audience coming through and ensure that as it all becomes more about iPlayer, there's a seamless journey. Yeah. So you'll see sharing of talent and ideas. We've done that already with Andy Day, who is massive rock star CBeebies talent, but also does a show for us that works very well for a cross-platform audience.
What age do you find the trickiest then in that perspective to kind of really kind of get?
Genuinely, it's the older audience that has more control over what they want to do and when they want to do it. And they're struggling with being cool and having their own identity. Yeah. And BBC might not be their first choice. That's the problem, audience, to keep reminding them that we've got something so compelling, such a brilliant offering, that it's worth their while coming back to us. Yeah. I mean, Crompton, for instance, is something I'm so absolutely proud of, because it's from beautiful series of books, and it really reflects a different type of contemporary experience than we normally see. That's living on iPlayer, it's getting audiences there. So yeah, I completely got so in love with Crompton, I lost my thread. I'm sorry, everybody.
No, it's all good. Yeah. So in terms of people getting their ideas to you, especially if they don't have a huge track record, I think Ignite's a great example of an initiative like that. Do you want to let everyone know what exactly that is if they haven't heard.
In my heart, I hope everybody knows already, but we'll just do a quick recap. And it's very much a shout out to Patricia, the Director of Children's and Education, whose vision this was, and it has made such a difference to everything we do. And it came about because we did have so little, 7+ original UK animation. We had beautiful preschool, world-class preschool, but very little once you got into the older, less easy to monetize areas. So it's a blind scheme. When the scheme opens, everybody is encouraged to send a one-pager in, and that could be whatever you want. It can be all words, it can be pictures, it can be a mixture of the two. But the key thing is it's anonymous. Everything, all the details are taken off. So when we judge what to take forward, we don't know who submitted it, which is very freeing. So that's it. So it's really available to anybody from the UK, from a student to a writer that's been working for 40 years, from a super indie to a studio that's working mid-range. Don't know what that is. It probably means we're meant to finish. Okay. We're on our second iteration.
Yeah.
From the first iteration, which was very successful, we have 2 absolute commissions in my space at 7+. Kate has one that's going through.
Yep.
And we are midway through Scheme 2, so I would say. So if you're interested, watch this space about Scheme 3. And we had an open call for expressions of interest on the Indie Day about how UK companies could get involved, because what it seeks also to do is, if you're a writer but you don't know anything much about animation but you've got a good idea, it will pair you up with the skills you don't have, be that animation, design, writing.
Yeah. So,
We work together to identify the need, and that's one of the wonderful things about
when's that's opening again? So,
Not yet.
Not yet.
We haven't published it yet because we're only halfway through
okay.
Series 2.
Fair enough. So keep an eye out.
So do keep an eye out.
Yeah. So, Karis, how does BBC Education fit into CBeebies and CBBC?
Well, we're part of the same department, and we collaborate a lot and get on very well. But what we do is slightly different. Our commissioning is often quite prescriptive. It's all short form. So if we're commissioning for the curriculum, we can be saying things like, we want 10 geography films, all 2 minutes, and you've got to cover Oxbow Lakes, glacial, blah, blah, that kind of thing. So it can be quite prescriptive. But then the other stuff that we do around careers, study support, other side of the story, bite size for teachers, and for some of the primary content, you've seen animations on the show reel, there's more room for creativity. But we put commissioning briefs on the website, and we don't really invite kind of ideas in, because we know what we need to do from an education point of view, I suppose. It's quite different in that way.
So how would for everyone in the room then, how would that, in terms of commissioning and so forth, what's the process? Is there opportunity there for
Well, I think there's a lot of opportunity because it's short form. It's a great opportunity for new indies, smaller indies, to sort of get a foot in the door with the BBC, I think. The audiences, I think, if you are anybody who knows anything about teenagers, I think there's quite a vacuum there around knowledge and understanding about creating the kind of content that will really engage teenagers. So anybody who comes to us who's got, really understands that audience, we're always interested in, because they are, they're even harder than your 10 and 11-year-olds to engage, aren't they? And far more distracted. So yeah, I think understanding the teenage audience is a key thing for us, as well as sort of the primary age audience. So if you've got that, if you've got that understanding of the audience, if you're a smaller indie, I suppose unusually we have a little bit of extra money at the moment because we are putting a lot of money into video commissioning. So unlike other areas, we've got a little bit more money. So there's more opportunity there.
It's not often you hear the word
It's not often you hear that, and you won't hear it for very long, I don't think. But,
And all of that opportunity is on the commissioning website, is it?
Yeah.
So that's a good one to check out. So I think, in terms of the commissioning, so you say you work as one team together, so if someone comes with an educational idea, how does that work? Does that go to you guys and then you talk?
We don't work as a one team like that, but we do, we're very aware of what each other are doing, and we do collaborate. So and BBC Education, well, Bite Size, we're very interested in entertaining education, edutainment. So we do work with a lot of the children's brands to create content, particularly in the primary space. You know, we've done collaboration with Number Blocks, loads, but we've just recently done one with Horrible Science. And this is our model for going forward, isn't it? Because it worked brilliantly. Because, you know, if you're going to pitch an education-based idea to Kate or Sarah, it is, if you've got an idea around it, then bring education into it right from the beginning. Have an education consultant on it, see where it will link to the curriculum, and then what we've been able to do out of Horrible Science is make some lovely films and do some quizzes. And so what the teacher in the classroom can do is say, here's some great Horrible Science content, have a look at this, kids. Do a quiz, now go and watch Horrible Science as your homework. What better homework to have than going home to watch the telly? So it's beautifully sort of melded together like that, but you have to get in at the start.
Yeah, excellent. Cool. Well, I think we're going to bring everyone else back on stage now and open the questions to the audience. So welcome back, Sinead and Emma. So if anyone does have a question from the audience, I had one briefly that Emma, you kind of touched on briefly, but in terms of, you must see a lot of pictures with AI in them, which I guess everyone's got their different take on, you know, that. What's your kind of thoughts on when you, in terms of pictures using AI, does that help or hinder? What's your thoughts?
I mean, for us, obviously we're very interested in understanding AI technology. I think the BBC is taking a very proactive approach, but I think transparency is the most important thing. As Emma was saying, we need to know. For us, it's about you know, being creator driven. We want to see the vision of whether it's in writing. We don't necessarily think at the moment that AI is in the position to deliver, you know, storytelling. But we understand that there are ways that AI is being used. Perhaps if someone's doing a pitch and they want to, they've got a vision of a character and they've done their character art, but perhaps they might do an AI background for a pitch image, and we totally get that. This is about using the technology appropriately, but it's important that that's shared with us so we understand.
But also that the idea is sufficiently strong, and we will root that out quite quickly, because as part of the development and moving towards whether we would commission or not, we will expect to talk to the creative and hear the creative vision, and you can tell pretty damn quickly if they can articulate what's on the page or not.
So if someone's hoping to make a quick bit of money by getting ChatGPT to make
but
make
absolutely, for time poor, cash poor indies trying to convey a vision, it's all right at that stage, at the closed, not for public consumption stage, for sure.
Questions? Do we have any questions? The black T-shirt.
Hi, Bryn Honda, Sinead.
Honda.
My son goes to Welsh school in Splot, Glanmorfa. I'm not used to my voice being this loud, sorry. I just wanted to ask, I'm not sure if you touched on it, but digital content for S4C.
Yeah.
I'd really like to get him onto some Welsh digital content. Is original digital content in the animated form something that you're looking for, or is it something that you already have?
The digital content space is something that we're looking at. The team in S4C at the moment are doing a lot of research into YouTube, into the different platforms and stuff, as to where we do commission digital first, but at the moment everything also has to go into the linear schedule. That will change over time. We don't commission animation. So if you're talking about an animation series, we don't commission from scratch. We don't have the finance to commission. So what we do normally is to acquire. Having said that, we have commissioned their shorts, very short, by a company in Wales. They'll be put out on YouTube. They'll also go on our other platforms, and that's done to trial them out, to see how they work on YouTube for us. YouTube is a strange platform for us, and I talk about YouTube, there are other digital platforms, but it's a strange one for us because once our Welsh language content goes out into that ether and galaxy, it can get lost. So how and where we put our digital content is the big challenge for us. And once we have a clearer picture of that, where our content is also on iPlayer, we're working on the relationship with the BBC to get more visibility for our content on iPlayer. But it's just, yeah, it's not quite there yet. But yes, we are accepting digital ideas, but we're not commissioning and putting lots of money behind animation at the moment.
Any other questions?
Hi, I'm Sam from Starcatcher Studios. We launched a couple of years ago on YouTube with a sensory channel. We've got a couple of other projects that we are having in development at the moment. I just wanted to ask what advice you would give to somebody in our kind of shoes, where we're kind of seems to be coming from the opposite direction, actually, to a lot of people from YouTube towards more traditional broadcast. Sorry, was there not a question?
No, it's a good, no. Who's best to answer it, do you think, Tom?
Can you make this question a bit more concise?
Yeah, sure. So everyone's talking about how YouTube is changing, disrupting the model that's been going on for a long time. We're coming at it from the opposite direction in that our entry into the industry has been YouTube. However, we do also really want to have conversations about how we can work with broadcasters. So from our position, what's the best way to kind of have those conversations, to initiate those conversations?
So if you say, so if you've got a content on YouTube,
yes,
how do you then move that into a commission?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got an existing kind of audience, you know, how can we kind of bring that?
So my initial thought is great content's great content, and you understand that because you're doing already the delivery medium probably is academic at this point. What you will need to think about how you present is it's a different process, the cost points and the time scales. There's a much more business element. And it's thinking about how you present yourself as a company, how you're going to convince all of us who deal with production companies all over the world that our money, our license fee payers' money, which is sacred, is going to be safe with you. So that's where I personally would put the effort into making sure you've understood the differences in the business and have compensated for them and can answer questions and show where you're going to draw the skills from that you need to jump to a different type of and level of production.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kate, do you have a take on if a...
I think if you're saying, you know, I'm not saying you particular, but if a company was saying, okay, we have this show that exists on YouTube, and would you like it? And, you know, and you're not proposing any kind of change, it's just take it from one platform to another. I think we have to sit there and think, is that a good use of our license fee payers' money? Because the responsibility we have to make certain that we are delivering what is right for the audience. But if, you know, different platforms, I think, you know, require different types of content. So that doesn't mean that if there's an idea that's out there and actually you want to develop it in a different way, and actually within delivering for BBC Children's, for instance, on iPlayer, or, you know, or the linear channels, or even, you know, our CBeebies YouTube, is like, what are you giving us that doesn't exist already?
So that's really what
that's what matters to me. Where's the unique added value that this is bringing us?
And whether it works on what platform.
Yeah.
Because not all content works on all platforms, and
Totally.
it shouldn't, because we're living in the kind of world where different stuff is good on one platform and not on the other.
Yeah.
And they don't always travel. And I think people need to recognise if they've got a really big success on YouTube or any other digital platform, that might not work on our platforms. And just to be really realistic about what you've got and where the right journey for that content is.
Yeah.
And like Kate said, we've got to be really careful, and Sarah, we're dealing with license payers' money, we're dealing with public money, and we have to be really careful of how we're seen to use it, and we're audited all the time on that. And so we have to be really careful of the journey of the content that we take on.
And I suppose just one thing as well, you know, we're always looking at our programmes, you know, what content we can take from our shows to put on YouTube to grow, you know, our audiences and to grow our YouTube audience. So I suppose, you know, you have to think about then, you know, where do your priorities lie? If you have your own YouTube channel and you're also looking at the broadcaster has their YouTube channel, what's a priority and how do you navigate that? So that's something to think about as well and how you look at that.
I hope that answers your question. Thank you. I think we've got time for one or two more questions. That's too far.
G'day, everyone. I'm interested to know how you all feel about non-British accents in your acquisitions, in particular Australian.
Well, we have a small show that does quite well. Yeah, I mean, I think Bluey is a fantastic example of a show that transcends all the rules. Because we spend a lot of time saying that we want content that resonates, and we love it if content is grounded within the UK, and then we have a set of dogs from Brisbane, but what that does is tell a story about family life that resonates. So I say it breaks the rules, but actually it doesn't. And I think for us, we know, I mean, that's one of the lovely things about coming to CMC is that we're seeing our children's media family. And we're all meeting everyone from all the different places. And we've all got different experiences. And that's one of the lovely things that we have is that we're getting to see everyone again. And I think our content is the same. We live in a very global world that actually has a lot of amazing connections. And our audience comes from all around the world. So we are not prescriptive in saying that we want everything to have a UK voice, but it needs to resonate, and I think that's different.
Can be dogs from any country as well.
Yeah, everyone knows I'm very keen on dog print. No, and cats and hedgehogs and anything.
Excellent. Anyone else got any thoughts?
Yes, it's part of a richer offering if we can give our audiences content from around the world that has a slightly different world viewpoint.
Yep.
And I think we've certainly worked very well with Australia over the years and recently to tell different types of stories that look slightly different. It's just a different way of telling stories with a valuable, viable price point. It's your acquisitions model. But of course you then dub everybody. So
we dub everybody into
not
Welsh.
relevant for
yeah,
Sinead.
not relevant for me. So the lovely blue character, if he came to Wales, would be Welsh. But it's just... But you're talking about accents and stuff. There's no, I've got a Welsh accent. I can't hide it. I've tried. You've got an Irish accent. We work with everybody, and we try to reflect that. So if I'm acquiring animation and the accents within that animation are varied and diverse, we try and reflect that even within our Welsh language, because we've got dialects and accents and different things within our Welsh language. So it's really important to us that we're inclusive of dialects and languages and tones of voice and all the different things that make us all one kids family, really.
Brilliant. Thank you. I think we're out of time for questions, so do make the use of them at CMC and ask them questions afterwards, but we're being kicked out of this room in a minute. So first off, I want to say thank you to our amazing panel.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Tom.
And also thank you to our sponsor, Tiger Aspect Kids and Family,